Hello everybody, it's the Android Watched. And today, don't mind the tooth. My flipper broke, so I'm getting one in like another week. So just don't pay attention to that, alright? Today, we are gonna be talking about The Wiz. Now, if you guys remember from my first episode of the Android Watched where I was talking about Morbius, I talked about a secret episode that I did that got copyright struck and got taken down. That was on The Wiz. Let's hope I don't get copyright strike this time. Back in 1978, well, first of all, let's just go all the way back to the very beginning. The book, The Wizard of Oz. Very, very, very popular book, written by some guy that I'm not gonna look up because I'm lazy right now, and I'm also very tired. It's like 10:30 at night. I'm very tired, but I'm deciding to make a YouTube video and anyway, because I kind of got a late start today, so don't worry about that. Do not worry about that. The Wizard of Oz. Everybody loves it. White people, black people, the gays. We really fucking love this movie. It got so popular that in the 1930s, some dude decided to make The Wizard of Oz with Judy Garland. He wanted to use Shirley Temple, but that's a whole nother situation. And I'm not talking about The Wizard of Oz. That's a story for another day. It's Black History Month. We are talking about the fucking black version, The Wiz. So anyways, as I said, back in 1978, The Wiz was created. A black version of The Wizard of Oz. Except it came from another book that was also titled The Wiz, or really a play called The Wiz. It's complicated. It's a very complicated story. But anywho, The Wiz was in production. And the director of The Wiz, who is Sidney Lumet, they're probably dead. I don't want to actually say their name wrong or right. I don't. They wanted to adapt The Wiz into a movie, and they wanted Michael Jackson to play the Scarecrow. They got a whole bunch of other people to play a whole bunch of other people. People like Nipsey Russell to play the Tin Man, and Richard Pryor to play the Wizard of Oz, and other people, a whole bunch of other people. Now the thing is, Diana Ross wanted to play Dorothy. Now, of course, Sydney thought that Diana Ross was a little too old, and they wanted to go for a younger actress. But Diana Ross was like, "Hey, you want Michael Jackson? You got to have me." Because Diana Ross and Michael Jackson were like this back in the 70s. So that's their whole situation. So that's how Diana Ross became Dorothy. Crazy shit. Let me take a sip of my big ass water. Stay hydrated, baby. Production was pretty smooth, I guess. I don't really have any... I didn't really hear any bad press about this movie. Like, honestly, if you think about it, this was a cult classic for a lot of black people. I, for certain, actually loved this movie growing up. I honestly, this might be one of the movies that actually made me want to go into acting. And honestly, I loved it. I loved this movie so much. And, a lot of the other black theater majors from my high school, they could talk about this movie for hours. We all could talk about this movie for hours. We actually watched it one time in class. It was great. It was great. But, yeah, no, it was a solid movie. It's a solid reenactment of The Wizard of Oz. So without further ado, I'm gonna get into the breakdown. We open up, like any other situation, in New York on Thanksgiving or Christmas. I don't really know. There's a turkey coming out of the oven, but there's also snow on the ground. And this is like a situation like any black soul household. During a holiday, there's always a baby somewhere randomly sleeping on the couch or surrounded by other family members who haven't seen the baby yet. There's a couple in one of the rooms that are making out, and they get stopped by the grandma because, why the fuck are you making out during Christmas? What the fuck is wrong with you? There's some old cats playing chess or checkers, and one of them cheats and ruins the game because they need to move when they could just pick up the table. You got the mom in the kitchen and the daughters and the sisters. They're all helping out with cooking, all of that stuff. And I'm going to tell you, this is the absolute realest scene I've ever seen in a black movie, other than Soul Food, which we're not going to talk about. But I haven't seen Soul Food in so long now that I think about it. Jesus Christ. This is like, to me, I feel like this is one of the most accurate like black holiday scenes I've ever seen. I've seen This Christmas, I've seen Best Man Holiday, I've seen a lot of stuff. And those movies don't really do it for me, especially Best Man Holiday, because that movie is full of petty black people. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're not talking about Best Man Holiday. We might talk about it in another video. It might be a Christmas video. I don't know. Shut up. But yeah, it's a very accurate scene to, black families. And we get to the dinner table, and Aunt Em is singing, everybody's vibing, singing along with her. And God, do I want to seat at that table, because damn, it looks so full of food and happiness and love, and I miss my mom. Cut to later, Dorothy's like packing up stuff, and she has her somewhere over the rainbow moment. And we continue and all of that stuff. Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are talking about how much they're worried about Dorothy and all that stuff. Meanwhile, on the TV, they're talking about the blizzard that will set up, later. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Aunt Em goes into the kitchen with Dorothy, and she's trying to play matchmaker with her, and she's trying to be like, Dorothy, you are 24. Get out of my house. Go and teach a high school. Because Dorothy is a preschool teacher in this movie. But she needs to move out of Aunt Em's house. Like, she is 24. She needs to go. I'm 24. And I'm in Madison, bitch. Dorothy is trying as hard as she can to prove to her Aunt Em that nothing needs to change. I just need to stay home. I need to take care of y'all, and I need to, do my own thing. I want to inherit this house so I don't have to pay any rent, even though it's like 1978 and rent's like $300. Aunt Em is constantly reminding Dorothy that she's 24 and she hasn't even been south of 128th Street. And Dorothy knows it, and she's heard it all too many times. She tells Aunt Em to go relax, and she's about to go take out the garbage when Toto starts to run away. And that's when we get the blizzard scene, where she gets swooped up into a giant tornado, and some weird shit happens. Glenda the Good Witch is just there with her hand in the tornado, and she's like, and Dorothy gets whisked away to Oz. Now here's the thing. I forgot to mention this at the very beginning. The Wiz is a horror movie. If you know, you know. Most of you are black, so you should know. The Wiz is a very deep horror movie, because if you think about it, and if you look at the imagery, there's like buildings ripped in half, there's like giant massive piles of trash, disfigured people, disfigured animals, mutated animals, crazy shit going on in The Wiz. But here's the first indication, when she first meets the Munchkins, which I don't really think they're called Munchkins, but like, they're weird kid creatures. They're like little cutouts, the little paper cutout things with the accordion kids type shit. They're like that. They're like stuck together and shit. But they'll get more loose anyway. Going a little bit further, we don't get Glenda the Good Witch coming down to Munchkin Land. We get Miss One, who is basically like a numbers witch, I guess. And she finds out that Dorothy did kill the Wicked Witch of the East, and she gave her shoes. And they continue to tell her that she needs to go to Oz, which, yeah, the story pretty much continues the exact same way that it did in the movie, except with a little more soul. Continuing on to the end of this whole situation, she tells her to follow the yellow brick road and all of that stuff, but she's about to take a cab. But that's the thing, cabs in this universe fucking suck. They fucking suck. Nobody wants to drive in these cabs. I wouldn't want to drive in that shit. I'll walk all the way to Oz. Fuck that cab. Anyways, Dorothy has like a whole little moment where she needs to sing about being a fish out of water. She wants to go home, blah, 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 blah. But she's walking through this wasteland, and there's like buildings that are ripped in half, and just like scraps, and it's like a junkyard. I don't know, first of all, how they made this set, but damn, they're good. Because that shit's terrifying. She sings all the way to sunrise, too, which is fucking crazy. But this is where we get our first indication of the homeless man in this movie. If you know, you know. Don't spoil it in the comments. I will find you. Continuing on, Dorothy finds the Scarecrow, played by Michael Jackson, in this whole little predicament he's in. Now, Michael Jackson is playing the Scarecrow so adorably. I love Michael Jackson's performance in this movie. He's so cute. He's adorable. And he's being tormented by these scarecrows. And they sing this whole song and dance and tell him this whole anthem and all that stuff, make him do some pledges, being like, hey, don't get off that pole because something will happen if you do. And don't spew that nonsense about knowledge and shit. You just need to be a dumb old scarecrow on that dumb old pole doing your dumb old dancing and singing and shit. Because they want to get a laugh out of him. And gotta say, this intro sequence to the Scarecrow, best song in the entire movie. My favorite song, period. You'll hear me saying that about a lot of other songs in this movie. And Dorothy comes in and she saves him, shoes off the scarecrows, shoes off the crows and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's how she adds Michael Jackson onto her team. Well, the Scarecrow onto her team. The Scarecrow tells her that he wants brains. Like, he needs some brains ASAP. Because he's stupid. But the thing is, instead of like the original movie where the Scarecrow sprouts out a bunch of information every once in a while, this Scarecrow has little bits of newspaper inside of him. Because that's how black people made scarecrows. Instead of straw, we had newspaper, bitch. He has little bits of newspaper. And inside those newspapers, written on those little scraps of newspaper, are quotes from famous philosophers, writers, book tellers, storytellers, just everybody before 1978. Just very smart people. And he reads them in the situation that, he's in. So, in a way, he does have knowledge. It's just not the knowledge that we're all seeking. They continue. Taxis continue to be assholes, and they skip down the road, and this is where we get the first instance of the wacky skip, which is probably my fucking favorite way of moving down the road. By the way, fun fact, Michael Jackson did twist his ankle during the sequence, but we're not going to talk about that because Michael Jackson is a fucking pro. What we are going to talk about is the fucking 5 Chrysler buildings. Why are there 5 Chrysler buildings? You know what? I don't know. It's post-apocalyptic New York. Who knows? They continue into a carnival for some reason, and we find the Tin Man being crushed by his lovely wife. What were they doing? The world may never know. The Tin Man does his little song and dance and has a couple of sequences where he tells them that he just wants a heart, and that's all he does. And that's pretty much his entire scene. Now, I do like the Tin Man song, but I'm not really the biggest fan of it. Continuing on, they get to this library where a lion statue is staring at them. This turns out to be the Cowardly Lion, who comes out doing this whole facade where he sings a song called I'm a Mean Old Lion. Sorry, the lion might be my favorite character next to the Scarecrow. Now, let me tell you, this motherfucker is dripped out like crazy. He is the most dripped out character in the movie with, I gotta say, he is wearing lion-themed go-go boots. And I have never wanted anything more in my life. Lion-themed go-go boots? Are you fucking kidding me? That's sick! He torments them until he gets scared by the Toto dog. And then they all gang up on him, and he tells them a little sob story because he got booed out of the jungle for being a cowardly lion. And all he wants is some courage. And they're just like, sure, let's go. They continue on. Taxis continue to be fucking dickheads. And they continue on and go through, and they pass some trash cans that are piled the fuck up with trash. It is weird. And they get to the subway. You know what's about to come. And I'm dreading what's about to come. They get down to the subway because they're all happy-go-lucky, and the lion looks in the mirror and is talking about, like, yeah, I'm gonna get some courage, blah, 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 blah. And the homeless man from earlier comes down. Now, the thing about the homeless man, he has this eerie little whistle, you know, this... Yeah, it's weird. And this next little sequence here, I'm just going to let it play out for a second. I'm not going to show you the whole entire scene, but I'm going to show you enough to, like, tell you why this scene is absolutely fucking terrifying.
I ain't too happy underground, y'all.
How does he do that?
It's just a hoax, my friend. He's got a little motor in his pocket.
That shit is the scariest shit I have ever seen in any horror movie that I have ever witnessed in my life. What the fuck? First of all, it's the fact that it comes out of fucking nowhere. They're just having a nice little fun stroll down into the subway, probably waiting for the subway to go to Oz and all of that stuff. And this random ass homeless dude comes down and just inflates these Chinese lantern creature monster things and chases them. Now, that's not even the only crazy part. This subway is absolutely bonkers, batshit insane. Because there's pillars breaking themselves off and about to crush you. There's garbage cans with teeth that are about to eat you. There's live fuse box that are ready to electrocute you. This shit is terrifying. They get out of there. And they end up at, I guess, a strip club. Called the Poppy Love Perfume Co. And if you know what poppies are because you've watched Wicked, good for you. But I know them because I watched The Wizard of Oz like a classic citizen. But poppies are the flowers that make you go to sleep in the Wizard of Oz universe. But in this universe, the Wiz universe, they're strippers and hookers. And this, god damn, most of them are transvestite, but fuck, they're all hot. They're 1978 hot. Dorothy, the lion, and Toto are the only three that end up going to sleep. And they get saved by the Tin Man because he can't stop fucking crying. And the lion has a whole little fucking moment where he's like, oh, I could have saved Dorothy. And Dorothy wakes up and does what any woman in the 1970s would do and sings a little tune for him. And they get to Oz. Yay! Ow. Get my hand on my microphone. They get to Oz and they have this most grandiose, like, fashion show thing. And the Wiz keeps changing the colors of everything that's going on and all that stuff. And, you know, continuing on, the Wiz finally notices that Dorothy's here because he notices her silver slippers. And he's like, hey, Bring her up here. Let me just show you Dorothy's awkward ass face. Oh man, I love this movie so much because that man. Have you ever been called out before? You make a face like this. See, the thing about this movie, Dorothy is so confused by everything that's going on in this movie. She is so confused, and it is so funny because honestly, we'd be in that same predicament. We'd be confused as well. I'd be so confused because, like, why the fuck am I in this colorful ass city with all these crazy ass people? And it's basically a post-apocalyptic mirror to my own home. So what the fuck is happening? They get up to the Wiz's office. She tells him that, you know, she's a package deal with the rest of her friends. So either they come or I don't. And the Wiz is like, all right, fine. They get up there and he's a big mechanical head, like, you know, the movies and all that shit. Practical effects are great. And the Wiz basically declines all of their gifts. Or not the gifts. He declines all of their wishes and tells them to go kill Eveline, the Wicked Witch of the South, or whatever the fuck her name and moniker is. They don't want to kill anybody because they're the good guys. And Dorothy ends up settling in the Emerald City Motel. I don't know how the fuck she did that. Does she even have money here? Does the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion carry currency? I don't know. This is complicated. This is weird. Anyways, they come to her apartment and they tell her, hey, Dorothy, we are ride or dies, alright? We do this shit with you because you are a girl and we love you. So we gonna kill this bitch. Let's go. Now, here's the craziest like split off from the movie. Dorothy in the original movie had to get fucking kidnapped in order to kill the Wicked Witch of the West. But in this one, since we're black, we like, ah, hell no, let's fucking, we ride or die up in this bitch. We about to beat this bitch ass. So they go back to the Wiz, and they tell them like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll kill them. And Eveline's lair is in a sewer. It's very funny. We get probably some of the best comedy bits here. We get to Eveline's sweatshop. The entire shop is literally sweating. And we see some familiar faces, the crows, the poppy strippers, and the old hobo man and all that stuff, because Eveline is like probably the one that sent them and is the one that's like, oh yeah, no, y'all stop these motherfuckers before they get to my shop and kill me. This scene, everybody is fucking putting in that work. They are doing that shit. And Eveline does one of the best performances in this entire movie. One of the best songs in this entire movie, might I say. And yeah, but she's basically working a sweatshop and, you know, owning slaves and whatnot. She's not even feeding them properly. It's crazy. She releases the monkeys. And the flying monkeys aren't exactly flying monkeys in this movie. They're really just biker guys, really. It's weird, but they're biker guys, and they don't fly exactly, but they're bikers. They're bikers, and we get a nice little funny little chase scene between all of them, and they hide, and inevitably just get kidnapped. And Eveline is just like, all right, I want them silver slippers on your feet. I'm gonna reach for them, and now my fingers are rolling back. Ouch. But fine, I got other ways of torturing your friends to get what I want. So what she does is she saws the Scarecrow in half, which doesn't do anything, and then she smashes the Tin Man, which doesn't do anything. She lifts the lion by his tail, which does something, but it doesn't really hurt him. So he's like, it doesn't do anything. And then Dorothy finally caves in when she decides to boil Toto, and she's like,
give me those shoes!
Yes! Yes! Yes!
That's what I've been trying to tell you. I don't even want these damn shoes. Anyways, so Dorothy scampers around like a kid that's about to get a whooping, and what ends up happening is she clicks the fire alarm in Eveline's lair, which I don't know why the fuck there's a fire alarm there. Did she pay for the plumbing? She doesn't really pay her workers. But Eveline dies and gets flushed in her gigantic toilet, which is, again, very funny bits of comedy. And then they celebrate in the gayest way possible. It gets even gayer when they shed the fucking skin that they were wearing, and they're just in golden underwear. I gotta tell you, this scene was very, very confusing, but it was a good scene. It was a good movie. That orgy must have been fucking amazing. They get a lift back to the wizard's lair, but through the back door, and they go in and they discover that it's Richard Pryor. Rest in peace. The wizard is a fraud, and he keeps telling them like, "Oh yeah," he tells them his whole little sob story, his origin story, if you will, and he's like, "Yeah, I came here like centuries ago, and I've just been living here as the wizard. I don't mean no harm, but like, you know, I can't get you home. Sorry." So Dorothy is like about to become contempt, and then out of essentially fucking nowhere, Glinda the Good Witch with her weird floating babies comes in and just like, "Oh yeah, no, you had the power to do this all alone. I just wanted you to learn a lesson. I also wanted you to go south of 128th Street, you fucking loner." Dorothy sings about there being no place like home, and she just magically appears there. Then that's the end of The Wiz. That's the end of this movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies ever, really. And I'm glad that I chose to do it during Black History Month, because honestly, this movie has literally the full cast of black people. A full cast of African American actors. And I could never have asked for a movie like that more. Like, this cast has more black actors than Black Panther. Put that into perspective. More black actors than the Black Panther movies combined. This shit's wild. This shit's nuts. Shit's got nuts in it. Anyways, no, but honestly, I'm very happy that this movie exists, and I'm very happy that, like, you know, it's a part of my life, and it continuously keeps coming on and off of Netflix. So I'm very happy that it was on Netflix right now. Otherwise, I would have had to buy it off of Amazon, and I didn't want to do that. So we're good. But no, like, honestly, you guys should give this movie a watch. It is on Netflix, so definitely go and see that movie. It's great. And now I want to see a Wiz interpretation of Wicked. Wicked was a good movie too. I might talk about that later. Terry actually talked about that in a previous video. Anyway, I might be stalling for time, but I give this movie a solid 9.5 out of 10. Because honestly, it's a cult classic. It's such a good movie. I know it got like a 5.6 on IMDb. It got a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes. But like, dude, this movie is so damn good. It's so damn good. Structurally, it might be weird, especially that subway scene, because where the fuck did that come from? But honestly, I might actually do 10 out of 10 here. Yeah. 10 out of 10. Anywho, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please let me know what movie you want me to talk about next. It might be a Dart in the Void again. But, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, lightly tap that like button in the face and punch that subscribe button. I'll see all you humans, animals, plants, aliens, machines, and anything else in between in the next video. Au revoir.
Now will you give me those shoes? Yes! Yes! Yes!
That's what I thought.